Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. We are starting chapter 7 and it's titled But I'm Just Sharing a Prayer Request, and the subtitle is Stop Gossip and Hearsay. And Will Rogers said, "So live that you would not mind selling your pet parrot to the town gossip." Something to think about. All right, let's get into this. I loved Saturday nights when I was a child. Since church and Sunday school were the next morning, Saturday night was the time to take a bubble bath. My mom filled the tub and poured in the pink bubble bath the nice Avon lady had brought to our house. I soaked and played with the bubbles, piling them high on top of my head or crafting a long Santa Claus beard for myself. When the bubbles started to pop and wane, I poured more bubble bath under the running faucet to make them rise high again. When it came time for shampooing, I leaned back, dipping my wavy blonde waist-length mane into the water. After soaping it up with my No More Tears shampoo, improperly named in my opinion, that stuff always made my eyes water. My mom rinsed my hair with a big plastic cup full of clear, warm water. Once I dried off and buttoned into my flannel nightgown, Mom rolled up my hair in spongy pink curlers. Then I curled up on the living room sofa in my scratchy pink bathrobe, waiting for my favorite TV show to come on. The show was the country music variety show Hee Haw, and I couldn't get enough of it. The hilarious antics of the country folk in fictional Cornfield County always made me laugh, and my dad laughed even louder. He got a kick out of all of the picking and grinning going on, as well as the recurring characters on the show, like the suspender-clad old man to whom the crowd would pose the question, "Hey, Grandpa, what's for supper?" He'd answer in rhyme, describing a crazy country supper full of cornbread and collard greens. But the one recurring skit I loved most was where a bunch of girls, washing clothes by hand and playing musical instruments, would sing the following little ditty. "Now we're not ones to go around spreadin' rumors. Why really, we're just not the gossipy kind. Oh, you'll never hear one of us repeating gossip, so you'd better be sure and listen close the first time." After this twangy opening verse was sung each week, the characters took turns telling a bit of recent news about someone in Cornfield County. Although it was never anything too racy or scandalous, the details they told were still pure, juicy gossip. Spreading rumors was supposed to be something good girls didn't do, of course, but with the wink of an eye, these ladies let 'em fly. As I got older, I often felt a little bit like those hee-haw honeys who strung together words in pure threads of gossip, even though I knew I shouldn't be talking behind someone's back, as my mama called it. Sometimes I just couldn't help myself. While the ladies on that Saturday evening TV show got laughs from the audience, I got attention from my friends. I soon learned how to work my words in such a way that people wanted to hear me talk. And not only that, I also began to develop a love of listening to gossip as well. President Teddy Roosevelt's daughter, Alice, once declared, "If you haven't got anything nice to say about anybody, come sit next to me." That seemed to be my philosophy too, and living my life enjoying both speaking and listening to gossip got me into plenty of down-home trouble. In addition to that time, I got half of 8th grade angry at me for saying Bill Warner thought my friend Janet kissed like a fish. I had many other conflicts that originated with gossip that rolled off my tongue. Even though speaking or listening to gossip and then repeating it to someone else often landed me in hot water, I just couldn't stop. I was addicted to talking behind other people's backs and listening to others do the same. Gossip brought excitement to my life, almost giving me an adrenaline rush. Unfortunately, this bad habit carried on for years, even through college, causing me great heartache, pain, and wounded relationships. You'd think I would have learned my lesson early on, but I didn't. After falling to the ground and getting hurt, I just dusted myself off and hopped right back on the high horse of dirt dishing, riding off into yet another high-drama conflict. Gossip had me in its grip. Gossip is dangerous and destructive, but so is gossip's first cousin. His name is hearsay. Hearsay is a slick little fellow. You can get away with this form of gossipy speech because it doesn't originate with you. It can't be traced back to you, so sometimes you feel a little more empowered to spread hearsay around. Just the very word hearsay makes it seem as though it is something that you just heard someone else say. Sometimes this is the case. More often, it is a little squishier than that. With hearsay, we can't nail down just where the thoughts or accusations came from. It's just the word on the street. A rumor, a report, some talk, something that came down through the grapevine. Passing on hearsay is repeating something without verification. You could be passing on the truth, or you could be spreading a lie. For most folks, deciding whether or not to pass along a bit of hearsay depends directly on whether or not you believe it, or whether or not you wish to do damage to someone. In fact, you may fully believe that bit of hearsay you have just encountered is not true, but it could be detrimental to the person it is being spoken about, whom you happen to not like. And so, sad to say, it gets passed on. Another danger in fanning the fires of hearsay is the temptation to add on your own little thoughts and details to the skeleton of the unverified story. After all, if the original bit of information cannot be traced directly back to you, how will anyone know where it took on some additional flavor? And here's where there is yet another danger unique to Christians. We engage in hearsay and justify it with a thin, Jesus-y glaze cloaked as a prayer request. Yes, that's it. We aren't repeating gossip or spreading a rumor. We are sharing a prayer request. And who could fault us for that? Especially if we seem genuinely concerned for the person. If confronted for talking about someone behind their back, we have an out, a just trying to be a good Christian escape hatch. It was just a prayer request. Yes, hearsay is a slick little fellow. Gossip, hearsay. Are these relatively recent problems in society? Nope. They were problems even in biblical times. In fact, as long as there have been more than 2 people on the planet, people have talked behind someone else's back. Jacob and his mother Rebekah plotted against his brother Esau to steal his birthright in Genesis 27. Joseph's brothers complained about him and connived with each other to cause him harm in Genesis 37. The people grumbled about Moses when he wasn't around. Exodus 16 verse 2. Job's 3 friends had a powwow to discuss his troubles and then set out to comfort him in Job chapter 2 verse 11. David consulted with others in order to bring about the death of a man because he wanted that man's wife for his own. 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 15. People from his hometown talked amongst themselves about Jesus, wondering what was so great about him since he was just the carpenter's son. Matthew 13 verse 55 and Mark chapter 6 verse 3. The Apostle Paul had to set some church folks straight when they talked about him in his absence. 1 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 19. Yes, our words about others have been a problem since the dawn of time. Let's take a closer look at these forms of speech and try to discover some biblical insight that might help us the next time we are tempted to repeat something we've heard, say something behind someone's back we would never say to their face, or spread an untruth. And we will get into that tomorrow in part 2. Hope you've all had a very wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.